Good morning from the Virginia 5. I know we've been focusing a lot lately on all of this hull work that's going on, which is pretty cool, but we're also doing a lot of work here on the Fantail, which is the back end of the ship. So we've identified some spots in the deck that are soft and rotten. We've started tearing out in previous video. And at some point, the whole back end of the boat probably needs to come off and be rebuilt, but not this haul out. So we'll be doing some fundraising over the next couple years to hopefully get it all addressed, either for the 2027 or 2029 haul out. For now, the shipwrights are just focused on excising the bad portions of wood and fitting in sort of temporary replacements, which will hold until we can do that work in a future haul out. So shipwrights back here have been very busy carving out the rotten spots and then patterning and fitting in replacement pieces. See, they've got some patterns tacked to the side of the ship up here for work, for keeping track of all the shapes, because of course this is a very rounded area and the spots they're carving out are not necessarily going to be all nice right angles and straight lines. So let's get to it. Alright, as this area gets excavated, we can start making a template for the new piece. Alright, so we've got the template, and then we've got the brand new finished block of wood ready to go into this hole that's been chiseled out. We'll see if it is a perfect fit, but I bet it is. Alright, this stuff is just some sort of weather sealant to hopefully help keep water from seeping down into the lower levels of this big piece of wood here. Then once all of that is coated in, we're going to coat the new piece in some boat sauce, which is that mixture of turpentine, linseed oil, and pine tar. A perfect fit is what we love to see, so now this piece is going to get bolted in. So these are always going to be countersunk, so right now going to put in nice big wells for the bolts to sit in. We want to make sure the heads of the bolts are well below the surface of the piece of wood, so we have room to drive in a wooden plug on top of the bolt. All the bolts get a little dip in this anti-corrosive before they get driven in, hopefully help keep them from rusting. Alright, once the bolts are in, we can put in the plugs. We've got some pre-made plugs sitting here. These are just little round pieces of wood made out of scrap left over from cutting out these pieces, so it does match. We have wood glue here, gonna just fill the holes with plenty of wood glue and then smear wood glue all over the plugs as well. These plugs keep water from getting down to the bolts and rusting them, which we obviously don't want. So some wood shavings get piled on there just to make a stronger bond. Then once the glue is dry, can take a sander and sand these flush. And then the whole piece of wood gets gone over with a little plane just to make sure it matches the height of the wood around it. Because we are going to be putting other pieces on top of this. Alright, got some good looking replacement pieces on this side of the fantail. And that means it's time to start excavating the other side of the fantail to do the same thing. What are you gonna do about this?
Chris, we're gonna have to cut it off because we really can't fit around it.
Oh, okay. You're gonna have to cut through it. So once again, we're making a pattern for this piece, and because it's an awkward shape, this is actually going to be a pre-pattern for the actual pattern. completed pattern version 1. Gonna put this on, again, the thin piece of wood and cut out an actual pattern. The pattern is gonna be tweaked until it's just right. And then the pattern can be transferred to the final piece of wood, which then gets cut out very carefully. Each cut is made very carefully to try and make sure that this will be a very precise tight fit. The last thing this piece of wood is going to get is run through the planer to make it the right thickness. And then it will get drilled and bolted in and plugged just like the other one. I just didn't get footage of this one going in, but the process is the same. And then once these pieces are in, we can start building up the trim pieces that go on top of them, which is what's going to be happening now. This piece, if you remember back in one of the earlier videos, this piece of wood here was getting removed. I was pointing out that we were trying to remove this piece back to its scarf. So now this new piece is going to fit very nicely into the scarf with the older piece. And the ship right here is just running a handsaw through that seam to try and get a really tight match between the faces. As you can see, this piece was trimmed a little on the large side, which is on purpose because, of course, you can make a piece of wood smaller, but you can't make it bigger. So now, gonna make sure that this piece gets trimmed so that it matches with the already existing pieces that are there. So down here at my feet is the pattern piece, and then up here is the finished piece, which has been bolted in and plugged, and we're just waiting for the glue to dry so that the plugs can get sanded flush. And then we also have to put in this pretty much exact same piece, but on the other side of the ship. And it is, again, the same process of pattern and then carefully shape the fitting so that it matches perfectly with the piece it's going against, and then drill it and bolt it and plug it. So we are hopefully, fingers crossed, done with the demolition of the ship for the most part, though it was very fun to watch old wood get ripped out. Anybody can tear apart an old ship. It takes the real craftsman to put in these new pieces. Getting these fresh new pieces in, very important for the preservation and longevity of this ship. The wooden shipwrights here at Pacific Fisherman Shipyard are very talented. The shipwrights doing all the woodworking on the ship are not volunteers for the Virginia 5. They do work for the shipyard. And we pay them because they are the guys who know how to build wooden boats, which obviously is not a skill a lot of people have anymore. So one of the things we do with the Virginia 5 by having people work on her is we're trying to keep alive those skills and traditions of wooden boat building. Because without wooden boats to work on, that knowledge is lost. So here we see the fantail. The deck is still missing, but hopefully that will be the next step, is putting a new deck in. We got a wood delivery the other day, so we're going to get that started soon. So thank you for watching, and be sure to tune in next time.